So put down your pencils, everyone.
Cool.
Yeah. This better not suck.
Hey, what's up, world? Hope you all wrapped up your summers nicely and are now ready to have a kick-ass fall and an even more kick-ass winter. I, on the other hand, did not. I did not have a very good summer. Well, at least an end to my summer. It wasn't very good. My dog has kind of a hematoma in his ear, which has been a nightmare for the last month. About to take him to the vet tomorrow, though. Finally get that resolved. And, there were a couple other hiccups in my summer. I totally put off the beach until, the very end, so I only had, one good beach day. And it's after that beach day, the weather never got warm again. It was, early August, and then, it was all right, where did all that heat go? Nice hot July. Pretty cool August. And it's funny, too, because, all the global warming people, you didn't really hear them much in August. They're fucking making a big fuss in July. Oh, my God. Fucking heat waves. I don't know. I'm sure, people heard them, right? And then where were they August? Crazy stuff. But, it's all right. It's good that, well, it's not that it's good, but it's all right. I'm sure that I'll have a better summer next year. It's weird how people... It's we expect everything to be good all the time, and we forget that life has ups and downs. And that's something I always try to do. I always try to remember at my high points, that hey, wait a second, this is a high point now, but I've had some pretty low points, and there will be more low points in the future. There will also be more high points. Life isn't always groovy. But anyway, let's get right into this. In this video, we're going to be looking at yet another example of the corruption that exists in absolutely every facet of our society. Literally everywhere in our society, corruption exists. However, instead of looking at the corruption in our elected representatives and our media, we're going to be looking at corruption that exists in our regulatory agencies. Those things that are supposed to regulate and make sure that there isn't corruption. Yeah, we're going to be looking at the corruption that exists in those. Specifically, though, very specifically, we're going to be looking at the corruption in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also known as, I believe it's NOAA, this wonderful NOAA. And we're going to be looking at them. But before we get into the corruption that exists in that regulatory agency, I just want to quickly remind people of the corruption that came out of the regulatory agency that is the Environmental Protection Agency. Let's look at just shine a little bit of a light on it and look at what they did right after the events of September 11th, 2001. Let me just go over to this tab over here. So, according to reports, and it's actually not just according to this is according to the report, and this is a report by a judge we're going to be looking at in the next tab. A September 18th EPA statement saying that the air was safe was made without sufficient reliable data available. The White House Council on Environmental Quality, the CEQ, influenced the EPA to make reassuring comments to the public. And on September 12th, the EPA administration issued a memo saying some crazy shit, okay? But let's just look at a New York Times article. This is from 2006. Okay, it's really important that we know the date of this article. So, Christy Whitman, when she led the Environmental Protection Agency, made misleading statements of safety about the air quality near the World Trade Center in the days after September 11th. Okay, this was by a judge. This is from the article, Public Misled on Air Quality After 9/11 Attacks. Okay, this judge determined that the public was misled, intentionally misled. It's not like the government had some data, and it's their data said one thing, but the opposite was true, and they didn't know, and it was just kind of their mistake. No, they were intentionally misled. The government had data that showed the air was bad, but they said the air was good. And of course, because of this, misleading the public, I guess that's a euphemism, today, let's see how many people, I believe it's nearly 7,000 people have died due to 9/11 respiratory illnesses and cancers. So A good question, though, is a question is, has anybody been charged with their deaths? These 7,000 people. This should be manslaughter. I mean, this should be beyond manslaughter because they intentionally lied. They intentionally misled. Should be probably third-degree murder at least, or at most, or at least manslaughter. So has anybody been charged? Nope. Instead of these people getting charged, we get articles like this. Former EPA head admits she was wrong to tell New Yorkers post 9/11 air was safe. Who reassured the public over Ground Zero air says, "I'm sorry. We did the very best we could with the knowledge we had." She's lying to the public again. Now, what's interesting is the year of this article, 2016. Now, when this article came out, all of the news sources, all the people who were covering it, they were like, "Oh, she finally admits that she's wrong." And this is how she did it. She said, "We did the very best we could with the knowledge we had." You're lying to the public yet again. So even after it's been exposed that she misled the public, lied to the public, they had data that showed it was not safe, even though that was known in 2006, 10 years later, she comes up with this nonsense. Now, I just have to, point this out. And one last thing, while we're talking about the 9/11 topic, before we get into this professor thing, I don't have a tab pulled up for this. It's just something that came to mind right now. While we're on the 9/11 topic, isn't it very interesting? The 23rd anniversary of 9/11, not on September 11th, but at least the month of September. What sort of attack is carried out by a certain country? A crazy bomb attack. They put bombs, secret explosives, bunch of miniature explosives in pagers and walkie-talkies. What kind of intelligence apparatus can get into that sort of stuff where it's like, yeah, we're going to put these secret explosives into these things? I mean, I don't know. Some other people think some secret explosives were used on another day. But it's something that I find very interesting that I haven't heard anybody else talk about. Nobody else has tied those two things together. Very interesting. Very, very interesting stuff. But anyway, let's move on. In this video, we're going to be looking at this Daily Mail article titled, "Professor Makes Stunning Discovery as to Why Dead Whales Keep Washing Up on East Coast Beaches," which was published on July 14th, 2024. It was published this year. I've wanted to cover this article since it was published. But, I gotta work, people. So I've wanted to cover this video for a while, but I did not have the time to cover it because, motherfucker has to work. I got no support, so I gotta go out and I gotta work like a normal human being does. And, this in itself is work. Because I'm basically working two jobs, but one of the jobs I'm working, I'm doing for free. And, I'm doing it also because I enjoy it. But it is a quite amount of work. So, it does require man hours and many man hours indeed. But anyway, let me not complain. Let me just get into this video. Anyway, so before we look at this article, though, I want to quickly look at what Google says about whale deaths and wind farm activities occurring off the East Coast. So let's just quickly look at what Google has to say, right? So if you type into any search engine, actually, we're going to be looking at this. This is according to NOAA. Actually, we shouldn't even see what Google's saying because Google is just saying whatever NOAA's saying. And then Google's like, hey, anybody who questions NOAA and tries to say else, we're going to crush them. We're going to shadow ban them, we're going to try to deplatform them. But we're just a private company search engine, right? That the government gives loads of money to. Anyway, so let's check. It's funny. It's a conflict of interest. The government is giving these companies money, so they have a vested interest in keeping that government in power and not having people question it. Okay, so it's something that people don't talk about. But anyway, so according to NOAA, there are no known links between large whale deaths and ongoing offshore wind activities. Now, we're going to take a closer look at this article right after we take a deep dive into this article. And we are going to read this whole article. Maybe there will be some parts that I'll cut out during editing. that I deem aren't necessary, but we're going to read this whole fucking article. Professor makes stunning discovery as to why dead whales keep washing up on East Coast beaches. And guys, by the way, at the end of this video, we're going to prove that Noah's a bunch of liars. Okay, we're going to prove that there's plenty of evidence, scientific. I'm actually going to make this. I declare now, I self-identify as a scientist, and I claim I self-identify this video as scientific video. Even though, as you will see, this will be, well, we're going to be basically trying to be as scientific as possible. We're going to be as empirical as possible. We're not going to fall into the realm of speculation. So anyway, for the best part of half a century, a 41-foot humpback whale named Luna swam up and down the East Coast. Then, on January 30th, 2023, Luna washed up dead on Long Island, New York. He was the 10th whale to strand on beaches in New York and New Jersey in 9 weeks. Holy God! I thought I was going to say that year. I thought it was going to be like the 10th whale to strand on beaches that year. No, not that year. In a 9-week period. So what is that, like 2 weeks in a week? 2 weeks in a week. 2 months in a week? 2 weeks in a week? What the fuck? That would be 3 weeks, sir. A little off there. So environmentalists, politicians, and ordinary citizens loudly wondered if the construction of offshore wind turbines was killing them. Were politicians? Maybe some politicians who were trying to get elected or get votes from these environmentalists. And the ordinary citizens, all of those people, they were all silenced. Shh, don't say anything. Okay, so Apostolos, why do you have to have such a fucked up name, man? So we're just going to call him AG. So AG, a Rutgers professor emeritus of computer science who co-created the search engine that powers Ask.com, now says the answer is yes. So anyway, so this guy, AG, he is a co-creator of the search engine that powers the website Ask.com. And his answer is yes. Absolutely, 100% offshore wind kills whales, he says. And by the end of this video, you're going to see there's plenty of evidence. It's empirical evidence. It's not even hard. You'll see. So, in early 2023, Garasolis, that's our G-Man over here. We'll call him our G-Man. How about that? Early in 2023, the G-Man began researching whale deaths. That summer, he started building a software system to identify any relationship between the dead whales and offshore wind survey vessels, which use loud blast of sonar to map the seabed for the installation of offshore wind turbines and high voltage cables. He named the system Luna. Okay, so he created this building a software system, identifying relationships between the dead whales and offshore wind survey vessels, right? Which he then makes this claim about. He named the system Luna, but the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, which is responsible for protecting marine animals and their habitats, insist there is no connection. You know what my response to NOAA would be? What research have you done, buddy? Huh? I mean, these whale deaths just recently started to occur, and you came out real quick. They came out real quick. No, there's no connection. There's no scientific connection. But what research have you done to prove that there's no connection? I mean, have you done any research at all? So to date, no whale mortality has been attributed to offshore wind activities, said Lauren Gatchis. She gotcha. NOAA Fisheries Public Affairs Director shortly after Luna's body was found. Okay, so shortly after the body was found, this lady's coming out. I'm curious how shortly though. Is it days? Is it weeks? Is it hours? She's like, hey, this Luna, this thing, no, it's not. It was not surveying vessels. That's not what it is. All right, so whale deaths had started increasing several years earlier. NOAA declared unusual mortality events for humpback whales in 2016, minke whales in 2017, and North Atlantic right whales also in 2017. The death count is now up to 534 for these species. It's that's 534 since 2016. Wind farm developers started sending out sonar vessels to blast the ocean floor with high-intensity sound waves to map it for offshore wind farms in 2016. Huh, interesting. Okay, but correlation does not equal causation. Okay. But NOAA still denies any connection. No, there's no connection, guys. These unusual whale death events started in 2016, right around the same time as these surveying vessels, actually identical times, as these surveying vessels start, but no connection. Okay, let's see. At this point, there is no scientific evidence that noise resulting from offshore wind site characterization surveys or pile driving could potentially cause whale deaths. Kate Wagner, she said, could even potentially cause whale deaths? This is insane, bro. You guys are going to see how easily it is to disprove these claims. You can tell that these claims, they're being paid to make these claims. And yeah, I'll make that. Go and try to sue me for libel. We're going to have to look at all your emails, all your communications. You might want to scrub them now, buddy. Okay? Because I'm going to prove that this is a stupid statement in a little bit, using their own website and using agreed on fact. So, and it's interesting here, right? So at this point, there is no scientific evidence that noise resulting. So, okay, so is there evidence, and you want scientific evidence? What is scientific evidence to you? You want something that's like peer-reviewed in an article? That's the only scientific evidence you're going to accept, right? I mean, how many repetitions of the experiment do you want in this scientific evidence? Because scientific evidence should just simply be evidence that is derived from the scientific method of inquiry, right? That's what scientific evidence should be. Hey, look, I used the scientific method of inquiry. I had a hypothesis. I tested it several times. I didn't just go with the first results. I repeated the experiment. Scientific evidence, scientific method of inquiry, right? So, but no, they probably want some peer-reviewed shit, right? Even though, it just started in 2016. It's not scientific unless we got, 10 years of data. I mean, okay, so you're not going to have the scientific evidence, right? But anyway, I'll show that there's plenty of evidence. So there are no known links between large whale deaths and ongoing offshore wind activities. Really? We're going to see that, right? So anyway, let's keep reading this article. But according to the G-Man, who is the co-creator of a research engine, NOAA data reveals that humpback whale deaths in New York, New Jersey, and Rhode Island waters went from an average of 2 per year before 2016 to 10 in the years since. 2 to 10, there's no connection, guys. Last year, 21 humpback whales died in the region. I'll stop interrupting. You have 20 dead whales. You used to have 2, and now it's 20, the G-Man said. So I started looking at this from every perspective. He loaded NOAA data on whale deaths, the zigzag courses of survey ships, and even wave action into his computer system. Even wave action, awesome. Luna revealed patterns that the G-Man believes point to offshore wind survey vessels as the cause of the whale deaths. So he's using real world data. It's not like some computer model that he's put fucking hypotheticals in that the fucking the other people use for their global warming nonsense. No, he's using real-world data. So the G-Man is an expert in computational sciences, search engines, high-performance computing, and data analytics. There are 5 people in the world who build search engines, the G-Man says. I'm one of them. And that's why he deserves the title of the G-Man. Last year, he founded Save the East Coast to investigate the impact of offshore wind on oceans, marine life, fishermen, and shore communities. I gotta say, man, thank God for the G-Man. This dude seems like a high-profile individual. He's a legit expert. He's probably got... Oh, what's going on here? So thank God for the G-Man here. He seems like a legit human being. So the Luna software system that the G-Man... last year he found... Yeah, okay, we read that. So the Luna software system that the G-Man built integrates NOAA data on whale, dolphin, and porpoise deaths with vessel traffic data from marinecatastry.gov, some government website. He believes it is the first system of its kind. Luna generates maps of the U.S. East Coast and plots the location of offshore wind farms, deaths of whales, dolphins, and porpoises, and the routes taken by various survey ships. Luna can display any specific geographic area, time frame, marine mammal species, or ship, depending on the query. Damn, dude, this guy created a legit search engine here. So, for example, from 2017 to 2023, a total of 286 whales, dolphins, and porpoises died along the New Jersey and New York shores. Luna shows exactly where they were found. These are just the images and stuff. You can see these are like the surveying vessels. The days before 2 whales died, black dots. Colored lines indicate paths of each survey vessel. So this is 2 days before 2 whales died, or at least before their bodies were discovered. And you got crazy survey vessels going on over here. During January and February, vessels conducted sonar testing off the coast in New York. 7 humpback whales, including Luna, died, represented by black dots. One of them was Luna, who washed up on Lido. Okay, so look at this. The black dots actually are where they washed up dead. Oh, there's no connection, though. Look at that. Okay, so the black dots are where their bodies are being discovered, right? Lines are where they are. Okay, so... Oh, no connection, no. No, absolutely no connection. And what's really interesting, I mean, you guys are going to be blown away. You'll see. So Luna visually displays the zigzag routes taken by offshore wind survey vessels during January and February 2022. There was little survey boat. There was little survey boat in the area. I guess it should be little survey boat traffic in the area. Six vessels traveled a total of 4,213 miles. 1 humpback whale died. January and February 2023, however, showed a tremendous increase in survey vessel traffic in the waters off New Jersey and New York. 13 vessels traveled a total of 11,977 miles. 7 humpback whales died, including Luna. So as this survey vessel traffic almost tripled. It almost tripled, and the amount of whales that died went from 1 humpback whale died to 7. Okay, so anyway, in August 2022, survey boat traffic was minimal off the New Jersey coast. 2 survey vessels worked near Asbury Park, and 2 more worked off Atlantic City. They traveled a total of 5,469 miles. There was plenty of open water around the 2 survey areas, and no humpback whales died. August of 2023, however, was a different story. 16 different offshore wind survey vessels moved slowly back and forth off the coast. They covered a total of 16,812 miles, triple the amount of the previous August. 6 whales died that month. Okay, we're gonna see exactly why they have to travel slowly and why they have to travel so many miles. It's something that they actually brag about in their website over here, where they're trying to deny that they're responsible for the whales, but it actually even more confirms it. But anyway, let's keep that in mind, okay? That they travel slowly, and they travel an incredible amount of miles. So in the summer of 2022, Trisha Devo, a conservation biologist on the Miss Balmer whale watching boat, first spotted a 2 to 3-year-old male humpback whale. He became number 0260 in the New York, New Jersey humpback whale catalog run by Gotham Whales. He was just a typical whale. He was just a typical healthy young humpback whale. We observed him several times during the whale watching season over the summer, but the last time she saw him, half of his tail fluke was missing. It looks like it had been chopped off by a boat propeller. Okay, so the point that gets made here, I'm just gonna skip past it. There's this whale. They see them. He got got half of his tail chopped off, or half of his fluke. It's not his whole tail got chopped off. Like the fluke on the end, which is where the tail like kind of spreads out, and that's like kind of like the main driver of the tail. So half of that got cut off, and they thought like that would be the end of him, because like they need that to to drive them. Actually, it's right here on her shirt, like this fluke. So it's like half of his tail's cut off here. And they thought that would be the end of the whale, because it's like the whale needs that to push themselves through the water. It seems like pretty vital to them. But he actually survived with that. He actually came back, and he was good for actually a couple of years. In the fall, they swim to the Caribbean. They're just explaining. So the following July, DeVoe was thrilled to see this humpback whale back in the Jersey Shore. And not only did he survive, he was thriving, DeVoe says. He made that long migration down to the breeding grounds, and he came all the way back up thousands of miles, so he was able to swim. He was so resilient. But then guess what happened? On July 24th, DeVoe photographed... she photographed, and then his body washed ashore. He was floating dead in the water 2.5 weeks later. So this is right after she sees him perfectly healthy, thriving. They see him. He seems fine. He doesn't seem stressed out. And then 2.5 weeks later, he's dead. I wonder if he got the unmentionable. Even whales don't want to get the unmentionable. they'll suddenly die, and then they'll write it off as perfectly natural. All of his platelets disappeared in his body? Oh, it's perfectly natural death. That happens, every day. Everyone's platelets just disappear. And then their blood can't clot, and then they just die. A horrible, scary death. Anyway, we really believe that what is killing these whales is the survey work that they're doing. It's the only thing different in our ocean. We never had whales dying like this. DeVoe and other local environmentalists. So now this is coming from like an environmentalist. So we have like the research guy, now it's an environmentalist. The loss of the whale, and they want to honor him with a name rather than just a number. They started calling him Saint. He was this whale in human terms who was a lot like a saint. He suffered a lot at the hand of humans. Oh, God, I'm such an emotional person. I can't even read this without crying. Damn you, emotions. Damn you to hell. All right. So he suffered that massive injury, and he survived, and he thrived, and he continued on with his life. But then he unfortunately went on to his ultimate death at the cause of human activity. Yeah, but these guys don't want to take responsibility for that. They're like, no, it's not us. There's no, it's perfectly natural. It's just natural, guys. Actually, let's blame global warming. It's global warming's fault. Yeah, global warming. We can blame all of our problems on that. Luna, the computer system, displays where the offshore wind survey's vessel travel. Okay, so we saw this. The G-Man divided his data into two samples, the number of humpback whales from 2006 to 2015 in the area, and the number of whale deaths after 2016 when offshore wind survey were underway. He subjected the samples to two sophisticated statistical tests. Both indicated that the difference in whale deaths... Well, actually, there should be a period here. Period. Both indicated that the difference in whale deaths before and after offshore wind surveys started was statistically significant and not random. If you are statistically significant, it means something seriously is happening, the G-Man says. You better find the root of this. On its webpage about humpback whales and unusual mortality events, NOAA says that necropsy examinations were conducted on approximately half of the dead whales. 40% showed evidence of fishing gear entanglement or ship strikes, although it wasn't clear if the ship strikes occurred before or after the whale was dead. So the G-Man analyzed cargo ship traffic and whale deaths. He found that in 2020 to 2021, container ship traffic was up 18%. Whale deaths were down 92%. But in 2022 to 2023, container ship traffic was down 18%. Whale deaths were up 162%. Okay, so it's not the fucking container ships, all right? Sorry, buddy. So the data, and it's funny too, because I've actually read articles on the whale deaths, and they some of them was said that they starved, or that they have evidence, that they starved, and that's going to be really important because we're going to see that these loud blasts can actually make these whales deaf, and they use sound to feed. But yeah, that's also something that should be significant, that some of these whales showed evidence of starvation. So the data contradicts the assumption that container ship traffic is the primary cause of increased whale deaths, indicating other factors are at play, the G-Man insists. Humpback whales migrate from the Caribbean to the Gulf of Maine and back every year, about 1,700 miles each way. But offshore wind survey vessels had not been operating at the same level all along the route, enabling the G-Man to analyze data from three distinct regions of the Atlantic Ocean. The northern region, including Maine, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts above Rhode Island, had no offshore wind survey vessel traffic. Before 2016, an average of 4 humpback whales died per year, and after 2016, the average was 3.1, basically the same. What is significant about this result is that if ship strikes were the cause of the increase in whale deaths, this increase would have been reflected in the data. Yeah, it would be reflected all along the East Coast. But no, they're only dying where these fucking ship surveys are fucking active. The southern region, including Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia, had no or minimal survey traffic before 2016, and an average of 2 humpback whales died per year. After 2016, the average survey vessel traffic was 23,264 miles per year, and the number of dead humpback whales increased to an average about 5.25. Okay, so that's not like huge amount. The central region, including New York, New Jersey, and Rhode Island, had minimal survey traffic before 2016. After that, survey traffic was an average of 50,000, twice as much of over here per year, double the amount of the southern region. The number of humpback whale deaths also doubled to 10.625, which makes sense. So, okay, look at this. Check this out. So, surveying vessel traffic here, which like, up here in the northern region, they don't have any. And it shows the number of whale deaths that has actually gone down. Maybe it's because there are so many are dying along there trying to get up there from the survey vessels. Over here, you got 5 deaths per year now with this many miles. You got double the amount of freaking miles in this region. You got double the amount of deaths. Oh, there's no connection though, guys. 0 connections. Oh, we gotta sneak the weasel word in there. There's 0 scientific connections. There we go. Now we're not lying to the public, because what do we deem as scientific, right? Oh, these people are evil. These people are evil beyond evil. You guys are evil beyond words. When comparing the South and Central regions after offshore wind surveying started, the average shows an almost linear increase in humpback whale deaths. Doubling the traffic results in doubling the whale deaths. These regions had identical death rates before 2016. This is the strongest correlation between whale deaths and offshore wind surveys. So look, similar before 2016. I mean, it's so obvious. But guys, there's even more. Believe it or not, there's even more obvious evidence than this. The numbers never lie, the G-Man says. There is a cause. We have shown that the cause for death of the whales is offshore wind. Period. Yeah, man. The G-Man is the man, bro. Offshore wind survey vessels use equipment such as multi-beam echo sounders, side-scan sonar, and sub-bottom profiles or sparkers to reveal geological features of the seabed. The sparkers send acoustical pulse into the ocean floor that are reflected back to the receivers on the boats. The underwater noise is loud. On May 8, 2023, Robert Rand, a veteran acoustical consultant, conducted a study of the sonar noise generated by the Miss Emma McCall survey vessel off the coast of New Jersey. The following January, he testified at a congressional hearing about his findings. Rand found that the sound was 224 decibels at the source. As sound waves travel away from the source, volume diminishes, but a half nautical mile away, Rand measured peak sound levels at 151.6 decibels. The National Marine Fisheries Service, part of NOAA, says that whales and other marine mammals can temporarily lose hearing at 152 decibels of continuous sound and can permanently lose hearing at 173 decibels. Okay, so at the source, it's 224 decibels. A nautical mile away or half nautical mile away, he's got 151 decibels. Okay, and this is really important because NOAA, when they're covering for these surveying vessels, you're going to see with the bullshit that they try to fucking say, right? So there's a saying that a deaf whale is a dead whale, says Trish Devoy, the conservation biologist. Because if a whale can't hear, it can't see to navigate. The depths of the ocean are very dark, and they rely on their hearing to know what's around them. The loud sonar blast could also disorient the whales, she says. If all of a sudden there's this incredibly loud, disturbing noise, and we have to emphasize disturbing, because guess what? They are disturbing noises. I can guarantee you, if you heard one of these fucking noises, you would be freaked the fuck out. Okay, I'm going to prove that, all right? Disturbing noise that could even be painful to them, they're going to run away. So we think that it could be deafening them or causing them to flee and then maybe putting them in harm's way, driving them into fucking ships. Devoy says whales, and this is probably why, like, it doesn't matter if ship traffic is down. Like, the whales, I'm sure that they've already kind of figured out what the ships sound like, right? But if they're fleeing from something, they're not even, like, they could be temporarily deafened. They could be terrified and fleeing into these boats. So that can actually be driving them into these ships. So it's like, the boat is the cause of death. Okay, but what caused it to fucking swim into the boat? Or into the boat's propeller, into that area without, like, being aware? Like, what caused it to have, like, such a little regard to its surroundings? Oh, it was fleeing. It was in terror, or it was temporarily deafened. So, yeah, it's like, it's deaf. So it's like, oh, no. So, actually, technically, oh, man, that's so sick. So technically, the sonar is never killing the whale. They can actually say, yeah, they're saying there's no connection. But if they're saying, oh yeah, these things aren't killing whales, well, technically they're not lying because they aren't directly killing the fucking whales. They're indirectly killing the whales. These people are just sick, man. So anyway, we see many whales with scars from propeller strikes or previous entanglements, yet they continue to live and thrive. I'm sorry, this is like literally exactly what I just said. Whoopsies, let me close this out. So if the whales are dying from ship strikes, what is suddenly causing them to be unable to avoid large ships? She asks. Exactly. The G-Man says, NOAA must study the impact of multiple wind projects on marine mammals. It is the cumulative impact of multiple offshore wind boats surveying in a small region where the whales are feeding that is affecting the whales, he says. NOAA needs to investigate. They probably haven't even fucking investigated. Like, no, we don't need to investigate. We got money in our pockets. Look at our bank accounts. We don't need to investigate shit. That's what they're thinking. Okay, so now let's look at what NOAA says, all right? Let's look at what NOAA says. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that, everybody. I was like reading a bunch of shit. This is what we need to be reading. So, are whale strandings on the East Coast related to offshore wind development? At this point, there's no scientific evidence that noise resulting from offshore wind site characterization surveys could potentially cause whale deaths. Okay, so check this out, guys. They said there's no evidence that it can even potentially cause whale deaths. Look at them. They're gonna, man, this is insane. So, no evidence that these wind sites could even potentially cause whale deaths. Oh, really? Guess what they're going to say in the next paragraphs? There are no known links between large whale deaths and ongoing... Okay, so they're just repeating themselves there. Offshore wind developers conduct high-resolution geophysical surveys to image the ocean bottom. The noises these surveys produce may disturb marine mammals. Okay, so over here, couldn't even potentially cause a whale death. Oh, the noise may disturb marine mammals. Oh, really may, okay. This is why offshore wind operators have requested incidental harassment authorization to follow for level B fucking harassment. Oh, yeah, maybe they'll disturb them a little bit, man, but, like, it's not a problem. By the way, can you, like, slip us, like, a level B harassment thing? Because we're sort of harassing those animals out there, man. But don't tell anybody. This includes actions that could disturb, but not injure or kill. See, the thing is, like, yeah, they're terrifying them. They could be fucking deafening them. A marine mammal by disrupting behavioral patterns. By the way, I'm curious about the data. Did NOAA look at the data from the guy that testified before Congress where he measured their sound, showing that their sound actually falls in the parameter that can deafen whales? Okay, yeah, well, we look at the data, guys. Except from those people over there, we look at the data our people provide us, which of course is data that we want them to provide us. That's why we pay them. But we're not going to take data from those people that we don't pay. No conflict of interest, of course. We're just trying to protect against fake news and those conspiracy theorists. These people are evil. I mean, I can't okay. This includes actions that could disturb, but not injure or kill a marine mammal by disrupting behavioral patterns, including migration, breathing, nursing, breeding, feeding, or sheltering. Yeah, your things doesn't disturb any of those things, right? Have you done actual investigation to that? Oh, no, of course not, right? You guys are just talking out your ass. The sound from these high-resolution geographic surveys are very different from seismic air guns used in oil and gas surveys or tactical military sonar. They produce much smaller impact zones because, in general, look at that, in general, they have lower noise, higher frequency, and narrow beam width. Do you guys know what a high frequency is? I should have. I had like a link. I had a link up here, but I didn't have it in here. My browser closed, and I never brought it back up. But anyway, it's important to understand this. So you can have lower noise and higher frequency. So you basically have a low noise, but it's it's going to be super high pitch. So low noise, super high pitch. But the thing is, they're just saying this is in general. But what about the guy that fucking measured the noises and showed that they're actually pretty fucking loud? They're high decibels, high enough to make a whale deaf. So this is interesting, okay? So the air guns, these seismic air guns, and it's funny, they try to throw oil and gas under the bus. They're they're lower frequency but higher noise, okay? These are, and this allows them to do less traveling. Okay, this is why these ones they don't have to travel as far because their noise, since it's like a louder noise, the sounds travel farther, and they can collect data with just fewer air bursts. They'll just do a couple bursts. They can only have to travel a couple miles, and then they have enough data. These guys, though, have to travel all those miles because it's lower noise. Maybe that it's not traveling far, but it's high frequency, so it's a terrifying screeching sound. Instead of being like a kind of like a low like bass sound, like a boosh, instead of that, it's a high fucking pitch. Maybe a low noise, but it doesn't matter if it's low noise. If they're traveling all those miles, they're making sure that high frequency fucking noise is getting everywhere, and they're traveling slower. So anything like it's obvious. I don't think I need to break this down. So the area within which these sounds might disturb a marine mammal's behavior is orders of magnitude smaller than the impact areas of seismic air guns or military sonar. Any marine mammal exposed to sound from these surveys would be at significantly lower levels and shorter duration, which is associated with less severe impacts. But this is bullshit. They're not going to be at significantly lower levels. I mean, whales do go down to significantly lower levels. It's going to blast everything in that thing. What kind of oh yeah, our thing everything in its beam doesn't get affected the same way. It's just the things at the lower levels, man. It's like, no, you guys are shooting a sound wave down there, and that sound wave is then having to go back up, reflect back up, so that you guys can, that's how you're mapping the floor. And it's not shorter durations, because they're blasting these things continuously. They have to continuously blast them, and they're moving slower. Okay, so they're just terrifying. The thing is, it's a very unnatural sound, too, okay, because these air guns from the oil and gas, at least it's going to be comparable to a more natural sound, like an underground volcanic explosion or something. It's going to have kind of a loud noise, a lower frequency, a more of a bass, with like a big explosion, but a bass. This is a very unnatural sound these sonars are creating from these, or whatever they're called, from these surveying ships, because it's high frequency, as they say here. In general, they have lower noise but higher frequency. So it's like a terrifying screeching sound that these whales are probably very unfamiliar with. It's probably very foreign to them, on top of probably causing them to go deaf. And it's terrifying them. It's causing them to flee. So in 2017, NOAA Fisheries declared an unusual mortality for humpback whales. Strandings along the Atlantic Ocean, Maine to Florida. The event is ongoing and includes animals stranded since 2016. And then they try to blame the vessel strikes and entanglements, right? So it's very simple. Where is it? Wait. We don't have it. Okay, Jesus. Okay. Do high frequency sounds affect whales? Whales in the this suborder, which includes gray, humpback, bluefin, right, and bowhead whales, show consistent disturbance reactions to noise. They often flee from ships and boats, particularly from fast-moving vessels. When they hear high-frequency sonar, they also try to escape. Okay, it's so obvious. This is known. This is a known fact. So why is this a known and accepted fact? Right here, this is from an EDU website. But oh no, those high-frequency sounds coming from the surveying vessels. Oh no, man, there's not even a possible relationship, guys. Let's go back to what Noah says. What the hell do they say again? There's not even a possible relationship. Oh yeah, wind site characterization survey could. Oh yeah, there is no scientific evidence that noise resulting from this could potentially, not even potentially, cause whale deaths. They're saying over here. Oh, but by the way, high frequency noises causes them to flee. Okay, now what's some other stuff? Oh yeah, now this is to me the full evidence. It's very simple. I just looked around. I was like, are they doing these offshore wind anywhere else? And no, they're not doing it fucking anywhere else. They're talking about doing it in California. Now, the problem with California, apparently, is that the water is much deeper off the shores there. It's much deeper than on the East Coast. But it's that simple. It's just like, it kind of even said it in the article, where it's like, hey, look, where they're surveying isn't going on in the north, over by Maine, you don't have this problem. Where in the what was it, the southern region, where it's at half the rate, you have an increase in whale deaths. It's at 5. It's higher than it is in the north. And then when it's happening in the middle double, it's fucking going off the charts. But guess what? It's not even happening on the West Coast. And hey, is there a fucking unusual whale mortality event going on the West Coast? Is there a save the West Coast whales? No, there's not, because it's not as intense over there. It's not going on over there like it is fucking going on over here on the East Coast. Now, I think there might have been a couple more things. Oh yeah, there was one more thing that I really wanted to laugh at. So check this out. So over in Nantucket, right, there was this now goes to actual turbines, right? A wind turbine failed, right? And then it ended up littering the beaches in Nantucket. Like, they had to close the beaches, right? So an unusual and rare wind turbine failure is littering Nantucket beaches with debris, angering locals. So, yeah, these fucking blades are like 300 feet long, it turns out, the ocean ones. So this one that was like 300 feet long, and that's just a single blade, yeah, over here, a 300 foot piece of the blade, it broke, and this shit is fiberglass. This is like, has a whole bunch of fucking shit in it that is not good for the environment. So CNN calls it unusual and rare. Hey guys, don't worry, this isn't a common thing. This isn't going to happen all the time. And then, where is it? Oh, I don't have it. Oh, I never opened up that window again. I'm not about to open it up right now. I'm about to get a delivery here. Yeah, but guess what? If you look it up, it's not all that unusual or rare. These things break pretty frequently. It happens. That's actually why during certain storms, and it's funny too, because on the East Coast, oh, what happens every year on the East Coast? The news is they always go crazy about it. This year, they went crazy. Oh my God, it's going to be an insane hurricane season, right? Oh, it's insane. It's going to hurricanes, the apocalypse, day after tomorrow. Oh, crickets now. Oh, what happened, guys? What happened to that insane hurricane season? Okay, so the point that I wanted to make, East Coast, lots of hurricanes. Oh yeah, let's put these wind turbines out in the ocean, guys, with these giant 300-foot fiberglass blades that when they break, they create a huge fucking mess. Who thought about this shit? Who put this idea together? And billions of our tax dollars are going to this shit. A quick internet search shows that from 2016 to 2022, the federal government spent approximately $18.7 billion on subsidies for wind power alone. So, of course, they're also subsidizing every other kind of renewable stupidity that you can think of as well. Now, let's think about this, though. Is offshore, this is interesting over here, is offshore wind subsidized? Historically, offshore wind has relied on subsidies to ensure secure revenue streams that attract investment. Why? Because they do not provide secure revenue streams on their own. They're not reliable technologies. Okay, that's what we should actually be calling them. Not renewables, but unreliables. Every time somebody mentions a renewable technology to you, just say, oh, you mean that unreliable technology. Okay, the unreliables. That's what they really are. And that's why our government has to subsidize them. So we're actually paying twice for these. It's a weird, screwed up form of communism where not only are these private companies that set up these renewable technologies, not only are they making money off of them, I mean, we're paying them as private citizens, we're paying them as private companies, and then they're getting a check that comes from our tax money. I mean, how wild is that? That's a really messed up form of socialism. And what allows for all of this? And this is what's interesting. Nobody ever thinks about this. They're like, oh, our government does this. But then they go and then they worship the Constitution, which they obviously know nothing about. And I think in every video, I just have to mention this. This is the problem. The Constitution. We need a brand new Constitution that better reflects the ideas that are found in the Declaration of Independence, gives us a much better Bill of Rights, and just does completely away with elections. Elections just allow for corruption, just choose our politicians at random. We've already seen that anybody can be a politician. It does not take any sort of special qualification to be a politician. As long as they don't have a criminal record, I think that they should be a politician. And I mean like an extreme criminal record. I don't mean like, oh yeah, they stole candy from a store once when they were younger. An actual criminal record. So let's check this out. Let's understand why these subsidies are completely allowed and completely follow the Constitution. And all we have to do is read the preamble of the Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Okay, so they can pretty much do anything as long as it's to form a more perfect union. This is why the Civil War happened. This is why they deemed that we actually don't have a constitutional right to secession, because we actually can't break up the Union. Anything that tries to break up the Union, that's something that nobody ever talks about. You have these states that are like, yeah, man, we're gonna secede. We have a secession bill going through our state, and there are state rights, right? No, there are no state rights. Okay? This Constitution is terrible. You don't have a right to secession. No states will ever secede from this union, and if they attempt to do so, they would be deemed basically insurrectionist. Establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide the common defense, promote the general welfare. Probably promote the general welfare. I think these subsidies for these renewables, because they're subsidizing them to fight global warming, actually it could even be provide the common defense. These subsidies, yes, they are defending us. And that's the thing, is our Constitution, it's so vague. It's actually, our Constitution, if you look at it, if you truly understand it, it's just a system, a perpetual system for creating laws. It has very little guarantees. It's simply a system for creating laws, and they made it so ambiguous so that they can actually construct any number of laws or any law that you can conceive of under the right circumstance. And that's the truth of our Constitution. It needs more rigidity. And that's exactly what they did with our Bill of Rights. They made a lot of things very ambiguous, including the Second Amendment. People don't even understand what a person can actually do with the Second Amendment, with rhetoric, very simple rhetoric. I, myself, can actually create a legal argument for why the Second Amendment does not actually guarantee the right to bear arms for all citizens. It actually doesn't guarantee that because of how ambiguous it is. And then they brainwashed everybody, indoctrinated us to think that this is the greatest thing on earth, this government and this Bill of Rights that we got. It's insanity. I'm going to end the video here. The point is that, or at least the point that I was trying to make before I entered that massive digression, the point is that there's a bunch of money involved in this scheme. And the real root of it all, when you get down to it, is actually our Constitution. And until we address that, until we craft a clearly defined Constitution that has clearly defined Bill of Rights and a much better system for electing our representatives than the one that we have, nothing's ever going to get fixed. But anyway, I'm going to let you all go. You all stay happy. You all stay healthy. Stay positive. Stay optimistic. Humanity does learn their lesson very slow. Just think about how many years we suffered under monarchs, under like kings and queens. So, it takes us a while. We just started this whole representative democracy thing. Maybe it'll take us a couple more 100 years. Maybe, somebody will come across my stuff, and they'll be really influential, and they'll be like, oh, wait a second, this guy actually knew what he was talking about. And if they don't, maybe it'll just take us a little bit longer. If I thought about it, I'm sure somebody else will think about it. If not, has already thought about it, right? I don't know who it was, but somebody that I know had told me something like that. They were like, oh yeah, I know that whatever I think, somebody else has probably thought about. And I don't know, it could kind of be a put down. It's like, oh man, you think that low of yourself? You think that you're that incapable of original insight? But at the same time, it's you can say the opposite about somebody who thinks that they are and be like, wow man, you think that much about yourself? You think you're that capable of original insight? Amongst all these billions of people that live currently and have lived, over the years and will continue to live. It's just a matter of time before somebody else also sees something from your same unique perspective. But yeah, I don't know. Fucking humanity will learn. It'll happen. It just will happen really slow. So don't be upset. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat other people up who don't see the importance of all of this, who don't see how severe all of this is. It's like our government is literally paying for our own destruction. I mean, I think a lot of people know this, and that's another thing. It's like, do you believe your government wants you dead? Do you think, and like most people will be like, oh yeah, of course, they don't want to have to pay for my retirement and all that stuff. And it's like, don't you think that's a problem? Like, don't you think that's a little bit of a problem? And I think the same thing about conspiracies. I'm sorry, I'm going to go off a little tangent. I know I already said bye, but I guess maybe I'll make another video about this for those who don't make it this far into the video, because I know not everybody makes it this far. But for those of you who did make it this far in the video, that's something that boggles my mind. It's like the fact that we have some crazy conspiracies and other people will mock it and make it seem like it's something wrong with that person who believes in the conspiracy. But me, I actually like to think the opposite. I like to flip it and say that that actually says a lot about our society, our government. Like, to me, that's a huge problem. It's like that shouldn't be. There should be more transparency. Yeah, I feel like that's a transparency issue. But anyway, there's a bunch more that I can say, but I guess I'll save it for another video. Like I said, stay happy, stay healthy, stay positive.
Where did Beavis go?
That was cool.